Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we take a mountain of information, distill it down, and deliver the most crucial, fascinating insights, tailored just for you.
And today we're plunging into a story that, well, it really touches nearly every aspect of our daily lives.
It really does, often without us even realizing the sheer scale of its impact. I mean, think about it. From the moment you search for a recipe to navigating your commute with real-time traffic updates.
Powering the phone in your pocket.
Or even getting those intelligent suggestions as you type an email, Google is just there.
It's often invisible, isn't it? Woven into the very fabric of our digital existence, yet undeniably indispensable.
Absolutely. What's truly fascinating when you pull back the layers is just how deeply integrated Google has become.
Yeah, not merely as a collection of products or services, but almost as part of the digital air we breathe. Its presence is so pervasive that for billions of people, it's simply assumed.
It's a quiet omnipresence, so today our mission is to take a deep dive into the incredible saga of Google. We're going to trace its journey right from its truly humble beginnings as a groundbreaking research project born in a Stanford garage. Yes, that classic Silicon Valley origin story is very real here.
It really is the archetype, isn't it?
All the way to the global AI powerhouse it has become today. We'll unpack the key turning points, the pivotal decisions that define its path, and some truly surprising innovations that have shaped not just Google, but the entire digital landscape we interact with.
And we'll reveal those unexpected initial steps and explore the rapid, explosive growth that followed. We'll look at the unique culture that both defined and fueled its early years.
Right.
Then we'll detail its relentless expansion into virtually every corner of the digital world, building that interconnected ecosystem.
And finally,
we'll cast our gaze towards its AI-driven future. We'll discuss the cutting-edge technologies they're pursuing with incredible ambition and, crucially, the significant challenges that lie ahead for a company of its unparalleled size and influence.
By the end of this deep dive, you won't just appreciate the sheer scale of Google's remarkable journey. You'll also grasp the powerful forces that continue to mold the digital world you interact with every single day.
And understand why Google is at the very heart of that evolution.
It's going to be quite a ride, so let's get started.
The genesis of a giant, from Backrub to Google.
Okay, let's unpack this right from the very beginning. Let's go all the way back to 1996.
The early days of the web.
Exactly. Imagine the burgeoning internet, a real Wild West of information. And you've got two brilliant Stanford Ph.D. students, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, collaborating on a research project.
And the name?
And the name of this project? Well, it was called Backrub.
Backrub, yes. It sounds almost quaint now, doesn't it?
It really does sound a bit comical looking back, Backrub.
But the core idea behind it was anything but comical. It was genuinely revolutionary for its time.
Right.
At that point, the internet was growing exponentially, sure, but most existing search engines were pretty rudimentary.
Very basic.
They primarily relied on simple keyword matching, or, how many times a particular keyword appeared on a page.
Which led to that awful keyword stuffing.
Exactly. A rampant practice where website owners would literally just cram their pages with popular terms in an attempt to manipulate rankings and appear higher in search results.
Often at the expense of actual relevance or quality. It was maddening.
Utterly. So if you were looking for information on, say, golden retrievers, you might get pages that just repeated golden retriever, golden retriever, golden retriever hundreds of times.
Making the results largely unhelpful and frustrating. It was like shouting the same word over and over again to get attention.
Precisely. And in that chaotic environment, Backrub was a complete, almost elegant departure.
How so?
Instead of just analyzing the content on a single page, Page and Brin focused on the web's backlinks, that is, the links to a page from other pages.
The connections between pages.
Exactly. Their fundamental insight was revolutionary. If a lot of high-quality, reputable websites linked to a particular page, that page was probably important, authoritative, and therefore more relevant and trustworthy.
Like citations.
They realized that links represented a form of endorsement or citation, kind of like in academia.
So it was like a citation system for the entire internet, mimicking the academic world. If lots of respected academic papers cite your work, it must be significant.
They applied that exact same logic to web pages. It's so simple, yet so profound when you think about it in that context.
It really is.
And this wasn't just a clever technical tweak. It was a fundamental shift in how to gauge information importance and reliability on a global scale. It offered an elegant solution to a growing, chaotic problem.
The problem of finding anything useful online.
Right. How to truly organize the rapidly expanding World Wide Web in a way that actually delivered valuable, relevant results to users, rather than just noise.
So this simple yet profound insight laid the entire groundwork.
Absolutely. For a truly superior way to organize and rank information, moving beyond superficial content analysis to understanding the deeper structure, relationships, and authority of the web itself.
Yeah.
It sort of democratized content by prioritizing quality and connection over mere keyword manipulation.
And from this genius idea, Backrub quickly evolved. It became something far grander.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't long before Larry and Sergey realized they hadn't just built an interesting research project. They had, in fact, built a fundamentally superior search engine.
One that could actually make sense of the internet's sprawling information.
That's right.
This rapid evolution led to the formal development of what they called PageRank.
PageRank, okay.
PageRank was the core algorithm designed to assess the importance and relevance of web pages by analyzing the quantity and, crucially, the quality of links pointing to them.
Quality being key.
Quality being key. It became the secret sauce, the undeniable innovation that gave Google its initial massive edge in delivering highly relevant, intuitive, and useful search results.
While everyone else was drowning in spam.
Pretty much. While other search engines were struggling with spam, Google was consistently delivering on its promise of relevance.
And this is where the name Google comes in, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just a catchy, quirky name chosen on a whim. There's a deeper meaning.
No, not at all. The name Google was a deliberate play on the mathematical term Google.
Which is?
A Google represents the number 1 followed by 100 zeros.
Wow. Okay.
And this wasn't just a clever linguistic twist or a casual choice. It perfectly encapsulated their audacious mission and reflected their academic roots.
Their ambition.
Their ambition. They weren't just trying to organize a small corner of the internet or even just the content available at the time. Their goal was to organize an immense, almost unfathomable amount of information on the web. Literally the entire world's information.
That's a big goal.
A huge goal. The name itself became a daily reminder of the staggering scale of their ambition, and it certainly helped them stand out in a crowded market of generic search engine names back then.
I love that. It's so fitting, isn't it? A nod to their scientific background, but also a bold, almost poetic declaration of intent.
Absolutely.
And speaking of audacious beginnings, we can't talk about Google without talking about its quintessential Silicon Valley origin story. It's the stuff of legends for a reason.
Oh, absolutely. Their very first office, well, it wasn't some gleaming corporate campus or even a traditional startup incubator.
No.
It was quite literally a friend's garage in Menlo Park, California.
The garage, of course.
This isn't just an anecdote. It's the stuff of legend, embodying that classic Silicon Valley garage startup narrative that symbolizes raw, scrappy innovation and boundless optimism.
Right, the dream.
It speaks to the humble yet incredibly ambitious beginnings that often define the birth of truly groundbreaking companies. This physical space, cramped and makeshift as it was, became the crucible for one of the most impactful technological ventures in history.
And then there's the story of their very first investor. It's one of those moments that, in hindsight, seems almost unbelievable.
It truly is a remarkable tale. Their first investor was Andy Bechtolsheim.
From Sun Microsystems.
Co-founder of Sun Microsystems, yeah. A significant and established tech company at the time. What's astonishing about this is that he was so immediately impressed by Larry and Sergey's brief demo and their vision.
Just a quick demo.
Apparently. So impressed that he wrote them a $100,000 check before Google was even formally incorporated as a company.
Wait, before they were even a legal entity?
Before they were even a legal entity. Think about that for a moment. A six-figure investment, a massive sum in 1998, handed over to two students working out of a garage for a company that didn't technically exist yet in a legal sense.
That's not just an investment, that's an act of profound, almost blind belief.
Absolutely.
He essentially said, I don't need the legal paperwork yet. I see the vision. Here's the money. What did he see that made him take such a leap of faith?
That's the core question, isn't it? It highlights the kind of rare foresight and conviction that defines truly visionary early investors.
They see something others don't.
Exactly. They're not just looking at spreadsheets or business plans. They're looking at the raw potential to disrupt and redefine entire industries. Bechtolsheim saw a tangible solution to a growing problem, the chaos of the early internet, and recognized the intellectual firepower and sheer ambition of Page and Brin.
And that money was crucial.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
This initial crucial funding provided Larry and Sergey with the vital runway they needed to fully develop their vision, hire their first employees, and transition from a promising academic research project into a full-fledged commercial company.
It really illustrates the importance of that early capital.
Early capital, and perhaps even more so, that unwavering belief in an idea, especially when that idea is poised to fundamentally disrupt an entire industry. Without that early validation and financial injection, Google's story might have ended very differently.
Could have just been a footnote.
Possibly. Maybe just a Stanford research paper.
Scaling up and shaping a unique culture.
Okay, so from a friend's garage and that audacious act of belief, Google just exploded onto the scene. Unprecedented speed. By the year 2000, it wasn't just a search engine. It rapidly became the go-to search engine for the vast majority of internet users.
It became a verb.
It literally became synonymous with the act of searching online. People weren't just searching the web anymore, they were Googling it. That's a rare feat for any brand.
That level of market dominance achieved so quickly is almost unheard of in any industry, but especially in the nascent, highly competitive internet space back then.
It proved the tech worked.
It proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that PageRank and their unwavering focus on relevance genuinely delivered a superior user experience that traditional search engines just couldn't match. Users gravitated to Google because it simply worked better.
Simple as that.
But what truly transformed Google from a popular, even beloved search tool into a financial behemoth?
Yeah, the money part.
Capable of sustaining its colossal ambitions was a seemingly simple innovation they called AdWords.
AdWords. Okay, this wasn't just another form of online advertising, was it? We'd seen banner ads, pop-ups, all sorts of intrusive stuff back then.
No, not at all. AdWords was revolutionary in its elegance and effectiveness. It allowed advertisers to create highly targeted text-based ads that would appear right alongside search results.
Alongside not blocking.
Right. And the key innovation here was contextual relevance.
Yeah.
If you search for hiking boots, you'd see ads for hiking boots or outdoor gear or related products, not for, random unrelated items.
Which sounds obvious now.
It might sound obvious to us today, but at the time, online advertising was often intrusive, visually jarring with banners, and largely untargeted. Advertisers were basically throwing money at a wall hoping something would stick.
Right.
AdWords was elegant, effective, and crucially relatively user-friendly because it provided ads that were often genuinely useful to the user, based directly on their expressed intent through their search query.
So it wasn't just throwing ads at you, it was almost like a helpful suggestion sometimes.
That's a good way to put it.
And it worked. Boy, did it work. It turned Google into an economic engine.
Indeed. This innovation created an incredibly efficient and unprecedentedly profitable financial engine. It generated the massive, consistent revenue streams that would, in turn, fuel all of Google's subsequent expansions, their incredibly ambitious research projects, and their numerous strategic acquisitions for decades to come.
To pay for everything else.
Pretty much. Without the runaway success of AdWords and its ability to monetize user intent at scale, Google's trajectory would have been fundamentally different. It literally built the financial runway for everything that came after.
And what's truly astounding is that despite this early explosive success and the obvious undeniable potential they actually had opportunities to cash out. Big ones.
Right.
I mean, there were offers to sell the company, including a potential $1 million sale to Yahoo.
Yahoo, which at the time was the dominant internet player.
Exactly. But Larry and Sergey held on.
It's an incredible testament to their foresight, their unshakable conviction, and perhaps a touch of youthful defiance,
Definitely. Imagine being offered $1 million for your startup in the late 90s.
That was a truly life-changing sum then, especially from a titan like Yahoo. Turning that down required an almost audacious belief in their long-term vision.
They saw something bigger.
They saw something much bigger, prioritizing the monumental potential of their product over immediate, significant financial gains. It's reported that they saw Google as a much larger entity even back then.
And that decision, in hindsight, critical.
Absolutely critical to Google's future, enabling them to build an independent empire rather than becoming just another Yahoo subsidiary.
And it paid off in a way that very few, if any, could have predicted. That $1 million offer looks quaint now.
Monumentally so. Google eventually went public with its initial public offering, or IPO, in 2004.
A huge event.
A truly massive event that captivated the financial world. They raised an astounding $1.67 billion, which at the time valued the company at an astonishing $23 billion.
$23 billion.
$23 billion. Think about that monumental leap from a potential $1 million offer just a few years prior to a $23 billion valuation.
Incredible.
This IPO wasn't merely a financial milestone. It was a clear and resounding signal that Google had arrived as a major, undeniable force in the global economy. It gave them unprecedented capital and a global platform to pursue an even more ambitious, expansive path.
A path that would soon touch nearly every digital corner.
Exactly.
Beyond the financial success and the technological prowess, Google also very quickly became famous for something else. Its unique, almost legendary corporate culture. This wasn't just about lavish perks, right? It was deeper than that.
That's absolutely right. Their famous company motto, "Don't be evil," was more than just a catchy phrase in their early years.
You heard it everywhere.
You did. And it genuinely reflected an initial sincere goal to not only make the internet useful and accessible, but to do so in an ethical and user-centric manner, prioritizing user trust and responsible growth.
Though that motto has certainly become more complex over time.
Oh, absolutely. The complexities of managing a global tech empire today certainly challenge the simplistic interpretation of that motto, but it was a foundational guiding principle that attracted a particular kind of talent and shaped many early decisions.
And their campus, the Googleplex, became almost mythical. You'd hear stories about creative workspaces, free gourmet food, shuttle buses.
And that incredible 20% time policy.
Right. It sounded like a paradise for engineers.
Yes. The Googleplex became a symbol of a new kind of corporate environment, one designed specifically to foster creativity, collaboration, and employee well-being.
It wasn't just free food, though.
No, it wasn't just about lavish perks, though those were certainly present. It was about creating an atmosphere where employees felt valued, inspired, and empowered to innovate without constant micromanagement.
And that 20% time.
The 20% time policy, where employees were encouraged to spend up to a fifth of their work week on passion projects that genuinely interested them, was particularly revolutionary.
A bold experiment.
A very bold experiment in giving creative freedom at scale.
And a famously successful example of this policy leading to a huge product that many of us use every single day is Gmail.
Exactly. Gmail is the quintessential example.
It wasn't a top-down mandate.
Not at all. An engineer named Paul Buchheit, driven by his own curiosity and passion, worked on it during his allotted passion time. He believed he could create a better email experience with vastly more storage.
And he did.
And he did. It grew from a side project into one of the world's most widely used and influential email services.
That's just demonstrated.
It demonstrated unequivocally that empowering employees with autonomy and dedicated time for exploration could lead to groundbreaking innovations that might never emerge from traditional, rigid, top-down product development cycles.
That culture was key.
Absolutely. This culture of innovation, combined with that strong sense of employee empowerment, was absolutely crucial for Google. It allowed them to attract and retain the very best talent in the world, cultivating the internal development capabilities that became essential for Google's rapid and extensive diversification far beyond just search. It was foundational to her whole ecosystem strategy.
The era of diversification and ecosystem building.
Okay, so search is conquered, AdWords is printing money. What next? Google didn't just sit back.
No, they didn't just sit back and bask in its success. After solidifying its undeniable lead in search, it embarked on a series of truly strategic acquisitions.
This is where it gets really interesting, moving beyond search.
Right. Transforming itself from primarily a search company into a massive interconnected ecosystem builder. This was a whole new chapter.
Flexing its muscles.
Exactly. This is where Google really started to flex its muscles and demonstrate its long-term strategic vision beyond its core competency. What's fascinating here is the strategic brilliance behind these acquisitions.
They weren't random.
Not at all. They weren't just buying random companies that were doing interesting things. They were systematically identifying emerging technologies and platforms that they correctly predicted would become not just important, but absolutely essential parts of the internet's future landscape.
Building an empire, layer by layer.
That's a good way to put it. Building out a vast, interconnected digital empire, layer by layer.
And they picked some real winners, often acquiring companies that were small at the time but grew into global behemoths under the Google umbrella. Let's talk about Android first, acquired in 2005.
Android, yeah. Back then, remember, Nokia and BlackBerry were still dominant?
Totally.
Indeed.
Yeah.
In 2005, Google acquired Android, which at the time was a relatively small startup developing an operating system for mobile phones.
A huge bet.
An incredibly prescient move, demonstrating remarkable foresight. Google recognized the long-term vision of owning the mobile operating system layer as the world shifted from desktop to mobile.
Controlling the gateway.
Controlling the gateway to billions of users and the entire application ecosystem they would use. At that point, mobile phones were rapidly evolving.
And today?
Today, Android is not just a mobile operating system. It is the world's most used mobile operating system, powering the vast majority of smartphones globally. An absolutely foundational pillar of Google's current dominance.
Its ubiquitous presence in our daily lives.
Absolutely.
Then just a year later, 2006, another massive move, acquiring YouTube.
YouTube.
And that was for $1.65 billion, which at the time seemed like a colossal sum for a video sharing website.
It did seem huge then. But acquiring YouTube for $1.65 billion was and continues to be widely considered one of the smartest tech acquisitions in history.
A masterstroke.
Truly. At the time, online video was still relatively nascent, often hindered by slow internet speeds and clunky players.
Yeah, buffering.
Exactly. But Google saw the explosive potential for user-generated content, the future of online entertainment, and critical information sharing.
And now YouTube is everything.
It completely dominates the online video and content landscape. A primary source for news, entertainment, education, social connection for billions worldwide.
Plus the advertising integration.
Oh yeah. Its seamless integration with Google's powerful advertising network, powered by its own monetization engine, has made it an incredible, consistent revenue generator and a cultural phenomenon.
And then Waze, in 2013, feels like a really smart enhancement to an already existing strength, Google Maps.
Right. It wasn't about creating something new, but making something essential even better.
It just made their mapping services even more indispensable.
Yes, Waze was a perfect strategic fit. Google already had Google Maps, a powerful and widely used service. By acquiring Waze, they incorporated its unique, real-time, crowdsourced traffic and navigation data.
That crowdsourcing was key.
It was. It significantly enhanced their existing mapping services, providing users with even more accurate, dynamic, and up-to-the-minute information on road conditions and optimal routes.
So these moves weren't random.
Not at all. They were carefully calculated steps to build an incredibly robust, interconnected, and self-reinforcing ecosystem, extending Google's reach and influence far beyond just search. They were playing a much longer game.
Beyond these colossal high-profile acquisitions, Google wasn't just buying its way to dominance. They were also incredibly busy developing new products organically, in-house.
Very true.
In 2008, they launched Chrome. I mean, who would have thought a company known primarily for search would build a web browser?
And beat Microsoft in Firefox.
Exactly, and utterly dominate the market against entrenched competition.
It's another brilliant strategic move that often goes underappreciated in its significance. Developing Chrome allowed Google to control a crucial piece of the Internet's infrastructure, the very interface through which users access the web.
Control the experience.
Precisely. By creating their own browser, they can ensure seamless compatibility and optimize the user experience for all their other services, from search to Gmail to YouTube, in a way they couldn't if they were reliant on third-party browsers.
It gave them a platform.
An essential platform for their entire ecosystem. It gave them a deep understanding of web standards, allowed them to innovate on browsing experience directly, and its adoption was rapid because it was fast, simple, and integrated well.
And then so many other products that started off as new innovations developed internally have now just become household tools that we almost completely take for granted.
Yeah, they're just there.
Things like Google Docs for word processing, Translate for language, Drive for storage, Photos for our memories.
They're just part of the everyday digital toolkit for billions.
Billions.
Exactly. These products have, over time, seamlessly integrated themselves into everyday digital life, often becoming the default choice. Docs transformed online collaboration.
Totally. Real-time editing was mind-blowing.
Google Translate has truly broken down language barriers.
Yeah.
Drive is ubiquitous for cloud storage. And Photos has revolutionized how we manage our digital memories.
So these organic products, alongside the acquisitions,
They cemented Google's place, not just as a powerful search engine, but as an indispensable provider of essential productivity and utility tools for personal and professional use, creating a very sticky, comprehensive user experience.
And while all this product development and acquisition was happening, we also started seeing the early subtle signs of something much bigger being woven into their core products. Artificial intelligence.
The AI seeds.
Things like Google Assistant on our phones and Google Lens, which could identify objects in the real world through your camera, they began to emerge.
That's a key point that's often overlooked in the grand narrative. AI being deeply embedded, almost invisibly, in their core products and services.
Laying the groundwork.
Laying the foundational groundwork, collecting data, refining algorithms for what would become their central strategic direction. And then in 2015, Google underwent a massive corporate restructuring.
Alphabet Inc.
Creating a new parent company called Alphabet Inc.
Why did they do that? It felt like such a huge, almost bewildering change for a company that was already so dominant and recognizable as Google. Was it just for optics?
The rationale behind the Alphabet restructuring was quite strategic and multifaceted. It wasn't just optics, no. It was designed to give more autonomy, transparency, and clarity to its rapidly growing number of diverse businesses. Google, the search and advertising giant, became the largest and most well-known subsidiary under Alphabet.
But not the only one.
But it allowed other ambitious, often distinct ventures, referred to internally as other bets, to operate with greater independence and focus, away from the core ad business.
Like separating the divisions more clearly.
Exactly. It provided a clearer structure for investors and management to understand and evaluate the performance of these varied ventures, and also allowed for different risk profiles for those moonshots.
So things like DeepMind, Waymo, and Verily came under the Alphabet umbrella, signifying these other bets.
Precisely. DeepMind, their cutting-edge AI research arm, acquired in 2014, Waymo, their pioneering self-driving car division, and Verily, their health sciences company focused on life sciences.
A diverse portfolio.
Very diverse. This restructuring truly showed Google's strategic intent to explore and invest heavily in frontier technologies and entirely new industries, not just within its core search and advertising business, but across a vast array of potentially transformative fields. It signaled a clear long-term vision for diversified growth beyond just advertising, pushing the boundaries of what a single company could achieve.
The AI-first future and beyond.
So we've charted Google's incredible journey from a garage to this sprawling digital empire, an ecosystem touching billions of lives. But what's truly defining Google's present, and more importantly, its future, is a singular overarching focus.
Yeah, there's one clear message now.
The company is now almost singularly centered on being an AI-first company. This isn't a new product launch. It's a reorientation of the entire enterprise.
And this isn't just corporate jargon or a buzzword they're throwing around. Sundar Pichai, Google's current CEO, has made a truly profound statement.
The one about fire and electricity.
Exactly. Emphasizing that artificial intelligence is more profound than electricity or fire.
That's quite a statement.
Think about the gravity of that comparison. Electricity fundamentally transformed industrial societies. Fire was perhaps humanity's first great technological mastery. Pichai isn't just positioning AI as another technological advancement, he's declaring it a foundational, transformative force akin to these historical revolutions.
It signifies an almost existential pivot for the company.
It really does.
That's an enormous claim. So what does it truly mean for a company as vast and diversified as Google to be AI first at this scale?
It means that AI isn't just a new product line or a feature. It's about embedding artificial intelligence into the very fabric of everything Google does.
Everything.
From its core services like search and maps to its ambitious moonshot projects housed under Alphabet, AI is seen as the central nervous system, the underlying intelligence that will power and enhance every interaction.
Rethinking everything through AI.
It's about rethinking every product, every process, and every user interaction through an AI lens. This indicates a complete paradigm shift for the company, directing all its vast resources, research capabilities, and top talent towards advancing and applying AI across the board.
It's an investment in a future where AI is not just a tool, but an inherent capability.
Well put.
And Google's been laying the groundwork for this AI-first future for a long time, with some truly impressive, almost legendary breakthroughs from their research arm, DeepMind.
Which they acquired back in 2014, remember? Absolutely. Google's DeepMind has been at the forefront of fundamental AI research for years, making breakthroughs that have garnered global attention and reshaped scientific fields.
Like AlphaFold.
For instance, AlphaFold, their AI system, made a monumental stride in solving the long-standing scientific challenge of protein folding,
Which is crucial for
understanding diseases, developing new drugs, advancing biotechnology. This was a grand challenge that stumped scientists for decades.
and AI cracked it,
Well, made massive progress. And then there's AlphaGo,
beating the Go champion.
famously beating world champions in the incredibly complex game of Go, demonstrating AI's incredible strategic prowess, intuition, and ability to learn beyond human comprehension in a domain that was long thought to be impenetrable for machines.
These weren't just parlor tricks.
No, they're demonstrations of profound intellectual capability.
These were scientific and intellectual triumphs, almost purely academic for a time. But now we're seeing Google's immense AI power being directly applied in consumer products,
Right, hitting the mainstream.
particularly in the highly competitive and rapidly evolving large language model space.
That's exactly where the competition is absolutely fierce right now. Google's own Gemini AI,
Their answer to ChatGPT.
which they unveiled recently, yeah. It's in direct, high-stakes competition with OpenAI's ChatGPT, Microsoft's Copilot, and a growing number of other large language models developed by major tech players and startups alike.
These are the AI models that can generate text, translate,
Remarkably coherent text, translate languages with incredible nuance, write different kinds of creative content, and answer your questions in an informative and conversational way.
So these examples, from AlphaFold to Gemini,
They truly showcase Google's long-standing, deep, and continuous investment in foundational AI research. They've been preparing for this current AI frontier for years, building the underlying capabilities, and now they are absolutely at the forefront of this critical race for AI leadership.
and it's not just about launching new flashy AI products. It's about fundamentally reinventing their core services, starting with search itself.
The heart of Google.
They're redesigning how people interact with information through what they call AI overviews and highly personalized results. This is shifting the focus from just providing a list of links.
To actually providing direct answers and synthesized information. This is a truly profound shift in how we might consume information online, and it has massive implications.
How so?
An answer-first search experience, powered by AI, means that instead of sifting through 10 blue links and figuring out which one is most relevant, you might get a concise AI-generated summary that directly answers your query, synthesizing information from multiple sources.
That fundamentally changes the user experience.
Absolutely, making information access faster, more direct, and potentially more efficient. It's a clear signal that Google aims to continue being the primary gateway to information, but now with a deeply intelligent conversational layer on top,
Anticipating what you need.
anticipating and delivering on user intent in a completely new way.
And beyond refining existing products with AI, Google is also investing heavily in completely new, mind-bending, transformative technologies, things that still feel like science fiction.
Right, the real moonshots.
They achieved quantum supremacy in 2019. Can you even explain what that means in practical terms and why it's such a monumental achievement?
Okay, quantum supremacy signifies a major, albeit specific, milestone in the nascent field of quantum computing.
Specific how?
It means that a quantum computer performed a specific computational task that is practically impossible for even the most powerful classical supercomputers to complete within a reasonable time frame, think thousands of years versus a few minutes.
So faster for one specific thing.
Exactly. It's not about quantum computers doing everything better than classical computers yet, but it's about proving the potential and demonstrating the unique capabilities of a quantum computer to solve problems that are currently intractable for any existing technology.
And Google is building these.
They're actively building and refining quantum computers that could, in the future, revolutionize fields like medicine by simulating complex molecular interactions for drug discovery,
Yeah.
finance through optimizing intricate algorithms for markets, and cryptography by potentially breaking or creating new forms of secure communication.
So these developments promise a vastly different future.
For how we access information and, more broadly, how we solve humanity's most complex and currently unsolvable problems.
So on one hand, they're making everyday search smarter and more intuitive, and on the other, they're literally building machines that could change the very fabric of reality as we know it.
It's a bold, dual strategy that spans the immediate and the far future. It truly is.
And their vision extends even further into areas that impact our physical world and environmental footprint.
Demonstrating a growing corporate responsibility, yeah. For instance, Google is making a significant commitment to operating carbon-free by 2030 across all its data centers and campuses globally.
That's a massive undertaking, isn't it, for a company that runs so many incredibly energy-intensive data centers around the world, powering all these services.
It is, and it's a critical corporate responsibility for such a large energy consumer. It means not just offsetting carbon emissions, but sourcing 100% carbon-free energy for its operations, 204/7.
How do they do that?
This involves investing heavily in renewable energy projects, smart energy management, and innovative grid technologies. It reflects a growing industry-wide focus on sustainability.
And addressing the environmental impact of big tech.
Exactly. Beyond that, after their early, somewhat ambitious foray into augmented reality with Google Glass,
Which didn't quite take off.
which perhaps arrived before its time, yeah. Google is quietly but persistently working on new AR technology,
What's the goal there?
likely through both internal development and strategic partnerships. The long-term goal here is to seamlessly blend digital information with our physical world, transforming how we interact with technology and our surroundings without the need for a screen in your hand.
Immersive computing.
And then, of course, there's Waymo,
The self-driving cars.
their self-driving car venture under Alphabet. They've moved far beyond just experimenting in controlled environments. They're actually offering real-world services.
Really, like actual taxi services.
Yes, Waymo has moved into real-world commercial deployment. They are already offering fully autonomous robotaxi services in parts of the U.S., notably in cities like Phoenix and San Francisco.
Wow.
They have millions of miles of real-world driving data. This is a real-world deployment of highly advanced autonomous technology, navigating complex urban environments with passengers.
And the ambition is?
Nothing short of a driverless world, transforming transportation and urban planning.
So these ventures clearly show Google's influence extending far beyond the digital realm.
Absolutely. They're actively shaping environmental sustainability practices, pushing the boundaries of immersive computing, and fundamentally shifting the future of transportation. Google's reach isn't just digital, it's increasingly shaping our physical environment and infrastructure in profound ways.
Impacting everything from urban logistics to how we commute,
Exactly.
navigating the headwinds.
Okay, as you can well imagine, a company with this kind of omnipresent reach, this kind of influence, this kind of economic power, it doesn't get to operate without some significant scrutiny.
No, it definitely doesn't fly under the radar.
It's certainly not all smooth sailing for Google. In fact, they're navigating some pretty strong headwinds.
Absolutely not. In fact, Google faces serious, ongoing antitrust investigations and regulatory scrutiny on both sides of the Atlantic.
US and Europe.
US and Europe primarily, but also in other regions like India and the UK. These aren't minor complaints. These are significant legal challenges that target the very foundation of how Google conducts its business and its market dominance.
What are the core accusations in these investigations? What are regulators worried about?
Well, the primary accusations revolve around monopolistic practices, especially concerning its undeniable dominance in the search engine market and the digital advertising ecosystems.
Ad tech and search.
Right. Regulators are scrutinizing whether Google uses its immense market power to unfairly stifle competition, whether it promotes its own services over those of rivals in search results.
Like favoring YouTube or Google Shopping.
Potentially, yes. Or whether its pattern of acquiring smaller, innovative companies is designed to eliminate potential threats before they grow.
And privacy.
Beyond that, there are significant privacy concerns regarding the vast amount of user data Google collects, how it's used for targeting ads, and how it's protected. Data control and user consent are huge points of contention, particularly in Europe with GDPR.
So its sheer size makes it a target.
Google's sheer size and its pervasive dominance make it an inevitable target for regulators worldwide who are grappling with how to ensure fair competition and protect consumer interests in a digital age increasingly dominated by a few tech giants.
These legal challenges sound like they could have a profound impact on their business model,
Oh, definitely.
possibly even forcing structural changes or significant restrictions on how they operate their services.
They absolutely represent significant headwinds for Google. The outcomes of these investigations could redefine the digital landscape, potentially impacting how large tech companies operate, how they integrate services, how they monetize their platforms, and even how they conduct future acquisitions. It's a critical period for regulatory oversight in the tech sector, and Google is right in the crosshairs.
The decisions made now will reverberate
Across the entire industry, yes.
And then on the innovation front, even with all their incredible breakthroughs in AI, the competition is absolutely ferocious right now.
Oh, yeah. They're not alone in this race. Not by a long shot.
It truly is an intense global battle for leadership in the AI space.
Companies like OpenAI, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, and countless well-funded startups are all racing to develop and deploy cutting-edge AI technologies, particularly in the realm of large language models and generative AI.
So Google needs to keep running fast.
This constant pressure demands relentless high-speed innovation from Google just to stay ahead and maintain its perceived leadership. But beyond the technical race, there's an even more profound and complex challenge. It's maintaining robust ethical standards and ensuring responsible development while scaling these incredibly powerful AI tools for billions of users.
This feels like the biggest, most critical questions surrounding AI, doesn't it? The ethical implications are massive, and they're not just theoretical anymore.
No, they're very real. It's an immense responsibility, not just for Google, but for the entire tech industry. Powerful AI presents profound ethical dilemmas that require careful navigation and proactive measures.
Like what specifically?
We're talking about issues like algorithmic bias, where AI systems can inadvertently perpetuate or even amplify societal prejudices if not meticulously designed, trained on diverse data, and regularly audited.
Bias baked into the code?
Potentially, yes. There's the growing challenge of misinformation and disinformation, as AI can generate incredibly convincing fake content, deepfakes, fabricated news articles, you name it, at an unprecedented scale.
That's terrifying.
It is a major concern. And then there are the broader societal impacts, such as potential job displacement, as AI automates more tasks, requiring a societal conversation about retraining and new economic models.
So this isn't just a technical challenge for Google.
No, it's a deeply societal one, requiring careful consideration, transparent development, and ongoing public dialogue. The trustworthiness and utility of these AI tools for all of us depend on how these ethical challenges are addressed.
These aren't abstract issues. They directly impact the trustworthiness and utility of the AI tools you, as a user, will increasingly rely on in your daily life, and how society as a whole adapts to this rapidly advancing technology.
Precisely. The ethical frameworks and responsible development practices Google establishes now, and how transparent they are about them, will critically influence how much trust users place in their AI-powered products.
And in AI overall.
And indeed in artificial intelligence as a whole for years to come. It's a high-stakes balancing act. Outro.
What an incredible multi-layered journey we've charted today. Just wow.
It really covers a lot of ground, doesn't it?
From a groundbreaking research project playfully named Backrub in a friend's humble garage, to a sprawling, global, multifaceted tech empire that influences billions of lives daily.
Billions. It's hard to fathom.
Google's story is one defined by relentless innovation, strategic persistence, an uncanny ability to predict the future of the internet, and an unparalleled global impact.
It's a narrative that continues to unfold right before our eyes, shaping the world as we know it.
And its future, as we've discussed, is still very much being written.
Almost certainly in code, with artificial intelligence at its very core.
Yeah.
We've seen how they began with that audacious goal of organizing the world's information, and now they aim to be AI first, embedding intelligence in everything they touch.
This influence extends from how you search for information to how you navigate your travels.
How you communicate, even how you manage your health.
All while the company grapples with profound ethical and regulatory challenges on a global stage.
It's a complex picture.
So as you reflect on this incredible deep dive, what does it truly mean for you when a single company, rooted in that initial audacious goal, now seeks to embed AI into nearly every aspect of our digital and physical world?
It's a big question to ponder.
Consider how its ongoing evolution and its navigation of these complex challenges will continue to shape your daily interactions, your access to information, and even the very fabric of society itself in the years to come.
It's certainly something to think about long after.